Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is August the 11th, 2020. Buying over crying, baby. Strong hand. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Buy and hold, baby. This game is not rigged. Clearly, today is a big day in the golden age of the 2020s. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. All you golden holders out there, you better be switching over to Bitcoin, right? I mean, these big corporations don't hold the gold. They hold the freaking Bitcoin now. No fancy sets or graphics here. You get Bitcoin insider information. We've been talking about this MicroStrategy thing for a week. Now it is official. This is some of the biggest Bitcoin news I have ever heard in my life. And everyone out there should be screaming to the rooftops about this one, baby. And you might notice, I mean, some of the dudes that are into the bikini babes and are like 22 years old, they don't get it. This is if you have financial experience, I mean, you understand what this means. And we're going to talk about Andy Hoffman in a second. He's approaching 50 years old. I have taught, and Caitlin Long, veterans out there, okay? Veterans of the financial world, they get this, okay? They understand how big this is, that MicroStrategy, a publicly traded company, adopts Bitcoin as primary treasury reserve asset. So that's going to be the main topic of the show today, because this is the biggest story of the year in all of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever you want to say so far. Okay, I mean, there could be a bigger story, but this is huge. I mean, this is bigger than any story from last year also. This is just so incredible and such a great day to be alive. I always say we're one day closer to an all-time high, and this really shows that we are. I mean, you just got to have a strong hand and be patient, and things like this are going to happen. So hello, my elite friends. As you can tell, I am very happy today, and I think everyone out there that's held on to Bitcoin for so long should also be very happy today. Check out This Week in Bitcoin and Saturdays. Subscribe to the backup channel. Follow me on Twitter at TechVault. I've been retweeting stuff. I mean, let's jump into this now. First of all the normies out there, you are Bitcoin privileged, people. Be proud of your privilege, that you have listening comprehension, that you watch shows like this, that you're a strong hand, that you understand what's going on in the real world of Bitcoin. Right now, in the normie world, they're like, oh, Kamala Harris has been announced as Joe Biden's running mate. They waste their time arguing, talking about political nonsense. If you grasp what is going on in Bitcoin today, you are Bitcoin privileged. Be proud of that. I mean, it's out there for anybody to grasp at it, okay, to become Bitcoin privileged. Anyone can be it. You can, but the funny thing is, in a few years, they're going to be like, "Oh, I was talking about who was vice president. It's unfair that you got this information and you own Bitcoin and you're rich and you're Bitcoin privileged. You're so wrong." Oh no, we're so right. We've got this privilege. Take advantage of the darn privilege. Don't get sucked into what supposedly is the big story of the day. Kamala Harris. Come on, if you think Kamala Harris is the biggest story of this day, you're going to end up poor. You're going to end up dependent on the government. But hey, that's most people there. So be happy about your privilege, and it's buying over crying. And I made up that slogan yesterday. It has never been more apparent today. They're crying and screaming about Kamala. Oh, Kamala Harris, this Kamala. That's such a good. Oh, I hate it, or I love it, or I this, or I that. And they've got they're living through Kamala and Biden and Trump, et cetera, et cetera. You're buying. You're not crying, screaming, playing that game. You see that this big company has a bunch of darn Bitcoin right now, loves it. You know that a bunch of other companies are not just going to sit there and let MicroStrategy do this. They're going to do it too. They're going to value their wealth in Bitcoin. MicroStrategy values their freaking wealth in Bitcoin. Fact. Pound that like button. All right? And they're buying. You're buying. And it's going to be hilarious in the future to see how many people are crying at you because you were buying. All right? Be proud of it. Be freaking proud that you're in this space right now and you're not a little bootlicker out there. Oh, who's vice president? This, that, the other. Oh, that's the big story of the day. Nonsense. It's a nonsense story of the day that someone's picked because of their race and because of their sex, because they've accomplished nothing and they're put in this high position or whatever. You know what reality is. Reality is saving, planning for the future, accomplishments, being productive. That's what this space is about. Buying over crying. And pick me for this. That's not the world we live in. We live in the world of accomplishments here in the Bitcoin overlay. Pound that like button. And what an accomplishment it is today that this company, they're not going with the flow. Oh, we're going to save all our wealth in dollars. It's like we've always had for years and years and years. Oh no. And the envy that will be out there for the people who bought, the hate that will be out there for MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy stock, it's gone up 13% today, 13% or something like that. All right, it's great. It's such a great thing to see. Let me see. So, yes, there was one thing I wanted to say about the more thing. Yeah, it is. You're in motion during this time. All right, MicroStrategy in motion during this time period. Okay, there are a lot of people right now during this time period. They're screaming and crying for help. They're scapegoating. They're trees. You are the opposite. If you know what's going on here, this is MicroStrategy. A $1 billion company has accumulated 21,454 Bitcoin, okay, and refers to it as its primary treasury reserve asset. Let that sink in, says Alistair Milne. Okay, we're going to get quotes from all sorts of Bitcoiners. Alistair Milne, he's no 20-something years old. He knows what's going on. He's been in this. He's been in this game for a long time, the financial game for a long time. And let that sink in. We've gotten to a point where a huge corporation like this, publicly traded, is calling a Bitcoin its primary treasury reserve asset. It's unbelievable. But hey, yeah, you can get distracted by politics if you want to. By the way, This Week in Bitcoin was on Friday. Surfer Jim and Reed Womack were on. We actually talked about this a little bit because, again, we've had this insider information for a while. Now, it was just made official today. I mean, they talked about it, that they had $250 million that they were going to spend on something other than dollars. And I didn't think they were going to spend it all on Bitcoin. Well, apparently they already had spent it all on Bitcoin. Or the bulk of it. I mean, it's great. Tour de Meester, milestone. I expect many companies to follow. This is huge, people. That you got to remember that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We'll get into the numbers in a second. I expect many companies to follow. As Gerald Swanson says in the Hyperinflation Survival Guide, cash management is the difference between profits and bankruptcy. Beautiful way of phrasing it. Is the difference between the single fact that influences every decision is time eats money. So is this the greatest financial hack ever? Time eats money? Time eats fiat? Yeah, it sure does. But look, they got a hack around this. Every company has a hack around this now with Bitcoin. The time isn't eating your darn. That money that you have sitting around is gaining value. You're able to get more with that freaking Bitcoin, okay? So, great quote there. This is the most bullish I've seen about Bitcoin since this is the most bullish news I've seen about Bitcoin since 2017. That is from Vinny Lingham. Pound that like button. You might hate him, but the dude, he's 40 years old. At least he's a little over, teeny bit over 40 or exactly 40. And he's a smart dude. You might hate him or whatever. But this is the most bullish news I've seen about Bitcoin since 2017. I agree. Unbelievable day. Unbelievable. Hey, and so take this. There's something, I linked to this below, the Forbes Global 2000. Okay? It is the 2000 publicly traded companies with the highest market caps. Okay? This company, MicroStrategy, isn't even in that top 2000, by the way. All right? Its stock went up 12% today. Now, imagine this. There are going to be companies in that top 2,000. Imagine if 5% of them, all right, that's, what would 100 of the top 2,000. Imagine if 100 of the top 2,000 bought the same amount of Bitcoin. Is that unrealistic? Now, what is that same amount of Bitcoin? That's 0.1%. MicroStrategy bought 0.1%, over 0.1% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be produced. Okay? That will ever be produced. They bought 0.1% of it. So if 100 companies in the top 2,000 did that, only 5% of the companies in the top 2,000 did that. That's do the math. That's 10% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be produced. Could be gobbled up by these corporations. So think about all you people who hate corporations, hate these rich people, envy. How coiners out there, think, use your freaking heads today, all right? Use your freaking heads today. How you can still remain no coiners after the statistics that I just gave you, okay? That you think this is not a real thing, that it's in the ether, all right? Put all of that in perspective, all those numbers that I just said. There's not going to be as much Bitcoin out there, all right? Very, very soon. I mean, there already isn't. It's going fast, all right? And that's all the 21,000 is 0.1% of the all-time Bitcoin. It's higher than the amount that's currently floating out there. Now, remember, we've had Bitcoin around, what, for 11 years now? 11 years? Has any company done what they did with Bitcoin, with gold? Use gold in this manner? No, never. No. They don't. Gold isn't on their balance sheets like what has been done today with this publicly traded company. It's for all the people that think that gold is going to be the next big thing. Dudes, no, it's Bitcoin. MicroStrategy set it down today. So let me check if there are any questions. If you can do a super chat, or you can type in BitcoinMeister. Be a unique beast, says Roman Q. Yeah, I'm a freaking unique beast today. MicroStrategy is a unique beast for now, but there are going to be a lot of other ones copying it very soon. They made the plunge. There are going to be plenty other ones that understand what this is, the importance of this move and how it saves. And you don't have to rely on the freaking fiat. You know, value your darn. So it begins. MicroStrategy is the first large corporation to hold Bitcoin as a cash reserve asset. MicroStrategy believes that buying $250 million in Bitcoin will provide it the opportunity to earn better returns and preserve the value of our capital over time compared to holding cash. That's their words right there. And I've linked to all these. Read the stories below. Read their press release below. Read what Safadine said. Actually, Safadine said, so it begins. MicroStrategy is the first large corporation to hold Bitcoin as a cash reserve asset. He said that part of that. All right. So they went all in. They really went all in. They didn't diversify for the sake of diversification. They turned the 250 million into Bitcoin. They didn't turn it into gold. The original statement was, in addition, we will seek to invest up to another $250 million over the next 12 months in one or more alternative investments or assets, which may include stocks, bonds, commodities, such as gold, digital assets, such as Bitcoin, or other asset types. That's what they said over a week ago when I was saying how big, and they didn't diverse that 250, they threw it all into Bitcoin, apparently. Threw it all into Bitcoin. Now, or the huge chunk of it. I mean, I don't know exactly what they paid, and you get the point, all right? So here's another quote that is just so bullish, that is so good. And hey, read Pomp. Pomp talked about it. If you want to peek into the future and to get pumped, if you love being alive in this 2020 golden age, read what Pomp had to write about this. It is linked to below. So our investment in Bitcoin is part of our new capital allocation strategy, which seeks to maximize long-term value for our shareholders. This investment reflects our belief that Bitcoin, as the world's most widely adopted cryptocurrency, is a dependable store of value and an attractive investment asset with more long-term appreciation potential than holding cash. Pound it! I couldn't have said it better myself. You put your money where your mouth is, okay? You're not just talking to talk. You just spend a ton of, you just bought the 0.1% of all the Bitcoin that's ever going to be created on the planet Earth, all right? Over it. Now, I spoke to Andy Hoffman today, and again, this should be the biggest news in all of cryptocurrency right now. Everybody should be raving and going crazy about it, screaming to the rooftops, being a unique beast about it, like I am. And Andy Hoffman said this to me. I will quote. This is a historic statement. Board of directors must approve. Unheard of for a public company to approve holdings of anything but cash and short-term cash instruments like treasuries, commercial paper, etc. Even stocks taboo, except your own, of course. He says that previously it's thought of as a major liability risk, but that is clearly changing now, as even mainstream businessmen starting to realize the dollar is being rapidly, systematically destroyed. It's not a coincidence that this was announced 1 week after the OCC approved banks as crypto custodians. Now, what he's referring to there is the OCC, one of these government regulation industries, organizations, completely nonsense in the United States. We have some of these regulating bodies. It's been a few weeks now since they said banks can be custodians of cryptocurrency now. And it was a week after that the original story about MicroStrategy came out, that they were thinking about allocating $250 million into something other than cash, okay? They were thinking, so that's what he's talking about. So great points by him right there. So let me see if there are any questions about this. And it's hilarious. All the short-termers are out there. The price of Bitcoin, some people are worried it went down $500 or something like that. Who cares? Who cares? Look at the long-term picture now. These tremendous corporations are going to be buying bunches of Bitcoin instead of letting cash sit around in the form of fiat, in the form of dollars. They're going to let it sit around in the form of Bitcoin. This is so long-term. This is so incredible, this news. But I mean, yet we have the gamblers out there ridiculously worrying about, oh, it went down 500. Dude, are you going to remember this day for Bitcoin going down 500? Are you going to remember that this was an incredible move by a big corporation out there? It was like the first strike. I mean, unbelievable. Tip of the spear. I love it. Now, Roman Q said if the S&P 500 companies would bought 0.1% of the Bitcoin, that would be 50% of total supply. There's not enough Bitcoin for that to happen. I ain't selling mine. No, I don't know what you just said. But the S&P companies would buy 0.1% of the Bitcoin. That would be 50% of total supply. No. 0.1% of all Bitcoin is 0.1% of all Bitcoin. That's the supply. What do you mean that 50% of what supply, Roman? We went over the numbers before. You mean I said if 100 companies bought 0.1% of all the Bitcoin, each one bought 0.1% of Bitcoin, that would add up to 10% of all the Bitcoin ever created, okay? 100 times 0.1 is 10, right there. All right. I don't know what you're adding to exactly, but thank you for the comment. Essay, when Bitcoin is mainstream, what wallet or platform is best to buy things with it easier than another? When Bitcoin is mainstream, what wallet or platform is best to buy things with? It is with it easily from another person or company. I mean, the question isn't phrased correctly. Right now, who cares when Bitcoin is mainstream or not? You put your Bitcoin on a device that you can control, a Trezor. You control your own private key. You buy it from whoever you buy it from, okay? People don't like Coinbase and Gemini in the United States. It's pretty darn easy to do. You could do the Cash App thing, I believe. All right, I'm not worried about when it's mainstream. Why are you worried about when it's mainstream? You buy it now. These are we've talked about a million times. What are the options to buy Bitcoin now? Where to store Bitcoin now? Watch Sunday show where I'm talking about most people don't even know how to properly store it. Most people don't even know how to send it now. You are elite. If you've got those 5 skills I talked about on Sunday show, check out Sunday show. But yeah, you keep it just control your own private key. If you keep it at Coinbase, you do not own it. You do not truly own it. You could buy it from Coinbase, take it off of Coinbase, and then put it on your Trezor. That's great. That's great. That's lovely. I would do it now and not like say, oh, I want to wait until it's mainstream so I can, have the best storage device and the best way of buying it. What? If not now, then when? If not now, then when? I mean, MicroStrategy did it. You can do it too. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm getting fired up, says the legendary one. All right. Again, Super Chat is a great way to get my attention, and so is just typing in BitcoinMeister. Roman Q says, BitcoinMeister, there are 500 companies in the S&P 500. It's each one bought 0.1%. That would be each one. You should have said each one. That would be 50% of the total supply. Yes, that would be. But we're not even saying yes, and then there would not be enough. Or okay, but I'm just saying. Let's scale it down. Scale it down. There's 2,000 There's a link below that shows you the 2,000 most valuable corporations on the planet freaking Earth. Okay, I'm just saying if 5% of them, which is 100, 5% of 2,000 is 100. If 5% of the top 2,000 companies on Earth bought as much Bitcoin as this little company did today, because this company is smaller than those 2,000, then 10% of all of Bitcoin would be owned by corporations like that. It would be off the table like that. That's what the focus on there. Okay, so we talked let's get into banks real quick. And Caitlin Long has there's a story out here where I think I've covered. You've seen that I'm very excited about all this stuff. But Decrypt has a story about a Caitlin Long tweet that she says that some of these United States banks, they want more regulatory clarity and guidance that will make them 100% ready to be crypto custodians. Okay, great. They need more guidance. Hey, we're one day closer to freaking Bank of America holding people's Bitcoin for them. And dude who asked the question about where you should have your Bitcoin, no, you should not have it at Bank of America in the future. Learn how to control your private key. That's what this is all about. So having something that is truly unconfiscatable. When you got your Bitcoin at Bank of America in 2024, they can take it away from you, okay? And they will take it away from many, many people that the United States govern. I mean, we were talking about Kamala before. If she's president then, you better believe there'll be a lot of Bitcoin confiscations from the undesirables that are keeping it at Wells Fargo and Bank of America. They will gladly bow down to a socialist, statist, collectivist that's president at that time. So prepare now. You should own it now, and you should properly own it now, and know how to send it and store it. And know how to set up a freaking Trezor. Watch Sunday's show. I really enjoyed making that show, and you could learn a lot. A lot of people were very happy with that show. Finally, I last night I watched a relatively new Andreas Antonopoulos a video called Bitcoin and the Coming Infrastructure Inversion. And what he talks about is right now, to buy your Bitcoin, you got to go on the traditional rails that are set up by, it's clunky, but set up by banks, all right? You got to forward a bunch of money, wire a bunch of money to Coinbase, okay? And then at Coinbase, then you buy your Bitcoin and then you take it off. So eventually, and this is just like in the old days of when you would get on the internet, you would have to go on the traditional phone lines. Well, there was an inversion, okay? Now the phone lines are on the internet line, okay? And they're much better. So in the future, the banks will not be using their old traditional rails. They're going to be using Bitcoin. They're going to be on top of Bitcoin. And it'll be much easier. So right now it seems clunky and hard to get your Bitcoin. You got to wire money, do this, do that, and the other. These banks are all going to build stuff on top of Bitcoin. I mean, they're not laughing at Bitcoin anymore. Okay, they're not laughing at cryptocurrency anymore. So watch the video, especially the last part is very good. They're going to rebuild the banks on top of Bitcoin, on top of cryptocurrency, just like phones. The phone lines were rebuilt on top of the internet. All right, that is it. Let's see if there are any more questions. When we start, okay, when are we going to start? SA wants to know, when are we going to start using Bitcoin to buy things? I don't know. Why don't you go waste your Bitcoin on something now? I mean, it's a total waste. Wait, you're gonna spend $100 worth of Bitcoin or $10 worth of Bitcoin on a coffee, and then next year you'll be like, oh, I spent $100 worth of Bitcoin. I don't care what people spend. This is a new savings account. It's not just for spend. There's a Lightning Network. Look into the Lightning Network. I could care less about that. So I don't care about spend. When am I going to spend it? When am I going to spend it? Spend. That's the hyper-consumerism attitude that people have today. It's not real money until they can spend it. That is nonsense after what I just went through for the last 20 minutes here. It's not real money, yet a tremendous corporation is storing their wealth in it. You need to be able, you're worried about when it's going to be mainstream coffee buying? When I just went over 20 minutes about a tremendous company that just put all their wealth, a huge amount of money into this? It's no joke. It is the real darn thing. That's why today is so huge. But we still have people, when am I going to be able to spend it? When am I going to be able to give it away? Nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. This mentality is still in people. You must be a long-term thinker. Savings over spending. That's what's been being preached on this channel for so long. That is what has made me have all the freaking Bitcoin that I do have. I was about to say something I don't want to give too much information away. But I've been doing this since 2013. I didn't get into this in 2013 because I was going to be able to buy coffee with it, okay? It was a savings account. Savings. All right? That's where productivity comes from. Productivity is based on savings. Spending is the end of productivity. The destruction of productivity right there. All right, dudes, I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister, the DisruptMeister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, check out the notes section below. Pound that like button. You get a new show every day. Conviction, And baby, buying over crying. You're buying that Bitcoin. You're not spending the darn thing. This is not a time to be spending Bitcoin with what's about to happen here. Learn of the 210,000 block theory and what 2021 is about to bring us, baby. I will say thanks to you guys in the chat. It was a blast today. Spread the word on Twitter.